Welcome back to Market It with Atma, where we give you the tips, tools, and strategies to help your business be successful. I'm your host, Story, and today we have on the show Kevin Hunter with Hunter Realty. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, good to be here.
I'm so glad you made it. So you have 25 years of experience in sales and the commercial sales space, or the luxury?
Enterprise software is where I kind of cut my teeth. But yeah, I moved over to real estate a few years back, and so focusing on residential currently, and then now with the luxury space.
Wonderful. So with over 25 years of experience, how did you transition into the luxury real estate space?
Well, it started with just kind of traditional residential.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of friends when I was leading sales teams for enterprise software companies, and they said, hey, we think you would be great in real estate, right? The way you take care of your clients, right? Turning into raving fans, the work ethic, the expertise that you bring and set your customers up for success, you'd be amazing in real estate. So it's something that kind of sat in the back of my head for a while.
Yeah.
And finally one day I just said, you know what, I'm going to go do what I want to do, right? I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit.
That's great.
And I thought, this is as good a time as any.
Right.
And it proved not to be, because last year was a really hard year in real estate with interest rates and all that kind of stuff. But it allowed me to kind of get my feet wet in the industry and really understand how to take the way I support customers and apply that to kind of the real estate industry.
Yeah. So would you say that one of the unique qualities of Hunter Realty is the fact that you give that kind of that value and support to each and every client that you meet with?
Yeah, I mean, I really focus on trying to have my clients feel like they're the only ones I'm working on.
Awesome.
Right? So they get the individual attention, the experience, responsiveness, and then I really focus on learning what their goals are, and then aligning my skill set and kind of the ecosystem that I've built, some of the top kind of industry leaders around real estate, as far as, you know, contractors and title companies and lenders and all that, have some of the best around. So I kind of bring that together to create kind of a holistic, seamless experience.
That's wonderful. So you would say your strong structure of your networking group is what really helps you be successful.
It's one of the pieces for sure. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I mean, it's finding the home or selling your home is obviously a major piece of it, but there are other major components, right? The financing piece, and if you need to do, you know, if you do the inspection and their repairs need to happen, you need to have somebody you can trust, right? So there's a lot of home insurance. I mean, all that is, you really have to find the right vendors to make sure your customers can get the same experience that they're getting with me.
Absolutely. So can you share one of your stories? You said last year was a really tough year for real estate, and you are obviously still in the real estate space. So can you give us a success story, maybe how you overcame that hurdle? Or
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things that I learned in 25 years of enterprise software sales and leading teams is how to negotiate. I have clients who say, hey, you know, this is the price point that I'm looking for. I say, okay, well, when I create this search for you, we're gonna increase that by 20 or 30,000, and they get kind of nervous, and I'm like, because I'm going to help you negotiate all of that away.
Wow.
Right? So let's understand what your budget is, right? Let's get connected with a lending company, and then from there, let's understand where you're comfortable, right? Because there's nothing worse than being house poor, right?
Absolutely.
So if you do that right, get a soft credit pull, if you get some proof of funds and stuff like that, and understand, okay, this is where I need to be looking, then I can help maximize that dollar to get you maybe a little bit more house than you were expecting, and then probably get some equity built in immediately.
Yeah.
Like I had a client out in Fort Worth who literally, as we were going through the contract phase, got an appraisal back for $35,000 more than we were buying the house.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And that was, you think that was based on the strategy that you helped them create to sell? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's really up to the individual client, but I've managed to find some that get really aggressive. And so you go out and you do your comparative analysis, you understand the market, right? And you understand different levers that you can pull and push to make sure your client is not overpaying, and again, just building equity from the very beginning.
See, you feel like you really put a lot of value in it. I may need to talk to you about selling my home after this.
Yes.
So what you were talking about how do you find your clients? So what does, like social media, you have an Instagram page, correct?
Yeah, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all the above.
Okay, so what role does social media play in how you market your strategy and platforms like Instagram? How do you use those to engage potential clients?
Yeah, it's really just, it helps clients understand kind of who I am and kind of the value I bring. So a lot of it's educational, right? I'll do interviews, different podcasts with lenders, with home insurance, right? Different subject matter experts that when my clients are looking to sell their home or buy a home, they can go to my YouTube channel, or they may be following me on Instagram, right? And so at that point, they're getting my feeds daily and going, oh yeah, here's the 5 things I need to do to fix up my home, the big areas, right? Forget about the little stuff, nobody cares about it. But how does your roof look? How does your floor look, right? How's the electrical, right?
Absolutely.
Some of the big pieces of making a successful sell of a home.
Right. And would you say, so we have a customer value funnel and a customer value journey that we follow: awareness, engagement, conversion, delight, and advocation. Would you say your referrals are primarily kind of what you use to really validate what you do?
Yeah, referrals are a huge honor, right? Because that means that you've made your client so happy that they're out there talking about you and kind of singing your praises, like Kevin was able to do this for us, or we were really worried about this, and Kevin kind of alleviated all that pressure, right? So the main way I meet clients, though, is through open houses, right?
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah,
How do you meet your clients?
Yeah, I used to like to play golf on the weekends, but that was the first thing to go away.
Oh yeah, because of the weekends.
Because on the weekends you're
available.
doing open houses, and when you have clients, you're out looking at homes, right? So as a realtor, it's my full-time job, so I can go during the day, at night, during the week.
Oh, that is nice.
But most people have jobs, and so when they look for homes, it's usually on the weekends, and so that's when I spend a lot of time face-to-face working with my clients.
Okay, so you kind of initiate that initial trust by letting them know who you are and how you really care.
Yeah,
about the process.
And when you go to an open house, right, you're walking in, you're like, oh, there's the realtor. I just really want to look. I don't necessarily want to talk to someone or fill out a form. So I make it as easy to either fill out the form or not fill out the form, right? It's really about the connection that you have with people. You really want to be comfortable with your realtor. You want to have a sense of like, I kind of like this person. I can see kind of hanging out with them a little bit because we're going to spend a lot of time trying to find that perfect home for you. Right? And so you have to have that comfort level, right? And personalities have to kind of mesh a little bit, and you have to really kind of have faith and trust that this individual is going to be able to take my needs, put them first, right? We've got a fiduciary responsibility as realtors to make sure they're taken care of, but you really have to go beyond that, right? And so understanding what their goals are, and sometimes they may change, right? I mean, I'll work with a client for 6-7 months to find a home. The home that we were looking at the beginning of that search sometimes is completely different than the criteria that we have at the very end.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a journey, right? And so, this is what we want from a home. And you start looking, you're like, oh, no, we have to have a walk-in closet like this, right? So now all of a sudden that changes everything. Or we need to have a water view, right? Or we need to have a gated community. Something that may not be there at the beginning, but as we go out and look at homes, they're like, okay, I want this now, right? So that's interesting. That search will change as you go through it.
That's interesting. Do you lay out that strategy for them, letting them know your insights may change as to what type of home you want? So you give them that kind of roadmap ahead of time to walk through.
Yeah. I mean, it's really important to say, hey, look, the home that we start off with is maybe completely different than the home you end up with. And that's my job, is kind of to align with those fluctuations and those changes and kind of be malleable to help them understand, okay, this is what I wanted at first, but now these things are actually more important. As we've gone through the process, what I thought was important really isn't important. Right. And you go through it and someone's like, oh, I won't buy something with messy brick. And you're like, okay. And then you get it to a house, well, there's messy brick on the inside, right? And they're like, oh, but I do like this messy brick on the inside. I just don't like it on the outside of the house. So things change a lot.
Yeah.
And you have to have a realtor that can take those changes into consideration and make sure that constantly evolving journey and search is going to line up with what they want.
Absolutely. So I feel like in any type of sales, you have to create relationships, right?
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to give anyone my money that I don't trust to take care of it, right? And to put it in the right places. And so I would say in any industry, having that relationship building technique, not so much technique, but ability is so invaluable.
Yeah.
It truly is, getting to know someone and feeling heard.
Yeah, and that's what I try and create in an open house, right? Just a snapshot of me, right? Who is Kevin Hunter, and like, is that somebody I want to work with? Like, I meet a lot of people, and not very many of them work with me. And it's because they either have realtors, or they're not ready, or maybe there's just not a good fit.
Right.
And I'm completely fine with that, right? Because this is going to be one of the biggest purchases of your life, right?
Absolutely.
This is absolutely a very important time in your life, and so you should want to feel very comfortable. And so an open house for me is kind of that, almost that first date, right? Where you get to know each other, and do they laugh at my joke, or do I find them interesting? Do they think I'm capable, right? And you just, like, literally in that 15, 20-minute period, they're walking around the house, coming back with questions. Hey, can you give us a tour? Absolutely. That's your chance to see if that's going to be a good vibe, and if you guys are going to fit, and if you're excited about working together.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like every business and prospect, it has to be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste your time with somebody that you don't mesh with. They don't trust you. It has to be a mutual relationship.
There are 10,000 realtors in the DFW market.
10,000 right now.
It's shrinking, right? It shrunk last year. It's shrinking this year after the NAR lawsuit. But there's a lot of really good realtors out there, and I may not be the best fit for you. And the sooner we figure that out, and if you can do that in 5 or 10 minutes in open house, that's it. And all I need to do is find one person who's like, you know what, I like Kevin, and he seems really sharp, and then he was really informative about this house, but he's not even selling, right? He's not the listing agent. He's working with buyers like us. So I really appreciate his attention to detail and giving us some insight and some pros and cons of the house. I think he would be a good fit in our search.
Absolutely. So would you say that that's kind of what sets you apart? That's why you're continuing with the luxury real estate space, because you have, what would you say is your approach to separating yourself from the 10,000?
It's really kind of attention to detail. It's a level of professionalism. It's instant communication, right? When you're working for some of the largest enterprise companies in the world, you have to be really, really good, because you're going up against some really significant competition.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing in the Dallas market. I'm not the only good real estate person out there. There's probably thousands of really, really good. And so I'm looking to kind of differentiate myself from the ones who are not going to take good care of a client.
Absolutely.
Who aren't professional, who aren't going to be responsive, who aren't going to put in a lot of work to make sure their client gets the home they want.
Absolutely.
Right?
So you have a value and a moral basis with Hunter Realty Group that you follow and abide by. And I truly think that's what sets you apart, because if you don't have those morals and values and you don't follow by them, then how can anyone follow you?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed the transition from the corporate world into building my own business, is that I get to do things my way, right? Sometimes in the corporate world, you're challenged by things that you don't really feel comfortable with. And I'm very customer centric, and I'm very pro customer, and I'll do anything I can to make my customers happy. And sometimes in the corporate world, you're restrained, right? You're not able to do that. You don't have the time, money, whatever. But I invest, a lot of times I invest in my clients when they're trying to sell a home. I do everything I can on the marketing perspective and staging and things like that. I will partner with them, and it's easier to do on kind of the luxury side. But yeah, I will do whatever I can to set my customers up for success. And ethics, I mean, if you think about it, it doesn't take a whole lot to be a realtor. Right, you just have to go and get your training, and you put your shingle out. But the background that I have helps me just differentiate by default. Right, my 25 years of working with clients is really, really an outstanding experience for them, and that's why they keep coming back, and that's why they have referrals. Right,
absolutely. And I know from my past experience in sales and other industries, you don't ever want to promise something you can't deliver.
Yeah, I underpromise and overdeliver all the time, and I did that in the corporate world, and I do that in my personal world. Is right. The little touches go a long way.
Absolutely. Advent Trinity has the same mindset, and it's worked very well and growing and expanding. So as you grow, because you're still kind of in the build phase of Hunter Realty, as you want to expand, what are you looking for in someone that you'd want to expand your business to, like agents, if they wanted to join your group? What would you be looking for?
It has a lot to do with personality. You have to immediately be able to connect with people. You have to be kind of a people person. I'm naturally an introvert, but when I get around clients, a different side of my personality comes out. And so to be able to connect immediately, to be able to kind of transfer that faith and that trust that they'll have in you. And as I build my team out, I'm looking for people that are truly excited to go work with clients and will match my level of enthusiasm, integrity, and effort.
Yeah, so you shared that being an early riser helps you stay ahead in your career. So you're kind of looking for somebody else to be on the same early riser path.
I'm a little bit manic. I'm in the office by 6:30 a.m.
Wow.
Because that allows me to do all the searches and all kind of the administrivia stuff, and then that gives me time to, again, I'm printing out packets and information and all the things that my customer, because my job isn't to find a home. My job is to give them the information to determine which home is the best one for them, right? And it's different for every client. So if I'm in there at 6:30 in the morning and I'm pulling up all the information and doing the analysis and doing the market research, I'm going to be able to give them information that once we go through it together and once they take it home and they're like, oh yeah, hey, I found this on here. This is great information. What about this? Exactly. That's why the search is going to change, right? Absolutely. And so if they have the information to make the best decision for them, then I've done my job. So when I'm looking to recruit people, I want people who are not afraid of hard work, right? And who have a passion for clients and really giving them an experience that will make them want to work with Hunter Realty for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. It's somebody that can help be an extension of you in a way.
Yeah.
And we mentioned you have values and morals that you follow by ethics. So how do you balance that not corporate life, but your business life with your personal life? Would you say you put boundaries or parameters on that, or would you say it's mixed?
No, I think you have to, right? And when I left the corporate world and went into kind of building my own business, I had to sit down with my wife, right? And I had to say, hey, look, this is where I had boundaries before. It's going to be a little bit more of the Wild West, right? Like
right.
There's things that we do with my daughter that are absolutely unmovable. Sorry.
Non-negotiable.
Right? Yeah, she's at a play or she's doing a soccer game or whatever it is. If I'm committed to that, that's where I'm going to be. But outside of that, I'm all about my clients.
That's wonderful. And I think it's good to have that healthy relationship, because if your family isn't happy, a happy wife is a happy life.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're talking to Noah about water. Yeah, I mean, you have to have balance. Right. And that's one of the things that realtors struggle with, right? Because it's literally a 24/7 job, right? You're available in the mornings, during the day, at night, on the weekends. I mean, I literally worked for 3 months straight. Yeah.
Because
I'm doing open houses on the weekend. I'm taking clients out to see homes, and then kind of the Monday through Friday grind as well. So but you have to kind of carve out time just for yourself. And then that allows you to be a better realtor for your clients, right?
And more present for your family.
Yeah, I mean, family is huge for me. It's the number one thing. I mean, and if my wife isn't happy, if my daughter isn't happy, then I'm changing stuff to make that happen.
That's wonderful. At the end of the day, you have to have a lot of structure and self-discipline to do what you do.
Yeah, the discipline thing is, right, because you're out of your comfort zone a lot. And that's how you grow as a person. But it's not always the thing that when you wake up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, you're like, I can't wait to do all this stuff that's super uncomfortable. Like getting on the phone and calling people I've never spoken with and say, hey, do you want to work with me, right? So,
would you say that's a common misconception people have, that you guys are just always in a great mood and ready to help?
Yeah, I don't know if that is a perception. I've worked with realtors when I was, before I got in the business, where I was like, well, they seem like they really hate their job, right?
You can feel it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's very visible. But when you get really good realtors, they give you the impression that they absolutely love their job and they can't wait to work with you. And that impression is usually given because that's how they feel, right?
Yeah.
Like when I wake up in the mornings, I'm like, what a cool job I have, right? I got a bunch of great friends in the industry, right? Mentors, mentees, and I get to work with clients. And I tell you what, when we're at the title company and we're signing, that's one of the best feelings I have any given week.
That's amazing because
Yeah.
you completed a goal, and it seems like you truly value
Yeah.
that whole process, the whole strategy, and helping someone at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I work with people who are buying a house at $300,000 or $3 million, all in between.
Yeah.
Because I just love working with people, and so when you help someone buy their first home at $400,000, I mean, we are hugging in the title company. We're like, yeah, high fiving and doing the picture, and I love my realtor and all that kind of stuff. But like people are like have tears in their eyes, and you're
Absolutely.
like, I helped. Buying your first home is a big deal, right? Because you're starting to build equity and you're starting to get that journey, right, of getting away from the crack that is rent, right? 'Cause
Absolutely.
You're never going to get rid of that. But the minute you buy a home, now you're going to start building some equity, and that's going to help you as you go through life.
Yeah.
So to be able to help people make that leap to get into something a lot more stable, it is a great feeling.
See, I feel like you have to love what you do to truly be successful at it. And I feel like
To be really good at it.
Yes, absolutely. Because when you have that good heart, when you're walking into something, it's bound to return, right?
Your customers can feel it.
They can.
Right?
They can.
I mean, it's everybody has kind of a sixth sense, and when you get in there and you're not happy, you can't fake it.
At all.
Because they figure it out really quickly.
Yeah. So what would you advise? So what are some of the trends or developments in the real estate market right now that you're particularly excited about? You can share with us.
I love the rates kind of coming down, right? Because it's going to allow people to get more home, right? Because and it's also going to help the market, right? A lot of people have rates around 2 and 3, and they're like, why would I ever sell my home, right? But as the Feds continue to drop their rates, and they're kind of anticipating that, so they're baking in some lower mortgage rates. We expect that to continue through the end of this year and the beginning of next. So at that point, it's going to allow some product, if you will, some homes on the market that haven't been there for a while. And I think 2025 is going to be a very exciting year. Okay. In Frisco, we have a lot of new construction, right? Because everyone's like, oh, there's no inventory out there. I'm like, there's a ton of inventory. It's everywhere, right? And if you have the right realtor, they can find that, whether it's new construction or a 20-year-old home, gated community, pools, whatever you want.
Right.
It's out there, and it's really exciting because you have the ability to help people find exactly what they want, right? My job is to make sure you don't feel like you're settling, right? Because you don't want to say, oh, well, it's pretty close. Well, then we need to keep looking, right? Because we don't need pretty close. We need like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to move in here. Can we do this tomorrow, right?
That is so
That's the kind of
wonderful.
experience I want for my clients, yeah.
That's great, Kevin. So if listeners wanted to learn more about Hunter Realty Group or connect you, how would they connect with you? And what's the best way to keep in touch?
Yeah, I think like everybody, I'm a big text guy. It's quick. Everybody checks it. So, 214-282-6031. You can also catch me on either Instagram, which is NOTX Home Hunter, right? And then YouTube is the same thing, North Texas Home Hunter.
All right. So any final advice for our buyers and sellers that you want to share with them?
Just make sure that you're doing your due diligence to find the home that you really want, right? You want to start off on the financial side, and you want to make sure that here's our budget and what we can do and how we can be successful. Sometimes there may be some credit cleanup you need to do, but do the financial piece early, and then make sure you have a realtor who's going to support your needs and your desires to find the home that's an absolute dream for you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Kevin, for all of the words of advice and for just letting us know you're here to help.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the
pleasure.
show.
Thank you.
And for all our listeners out there, I'm your host, Story, and we'll see you next time on Market It with Atma. Bye.